If you want to start a training business, do something that you feel like God's called you to do, I'm going to address that in this vlog. Let's get it.
Identity is found in the God we trust. Any other identity will self-destruct. Your identity is found in the God we trust. Any other identity will self-destruct. I'm not the shoes I wear. I'm not the clothes I buy. I'm not the house I live in. I'm not the car I drive. I'm not the job I work. You can't define my word.
Here's some clips from SportsFest. We did this event this past weekend. It's got every possible sport you can think of. Hoops for Christ was featured right there on the old throwback Freedom All Court. It's a whole lot of fun. We did 16 clinics in 2 days. Just about every clinic sold out. We had about 40 kids in each clinic. It was a great event. Check it out. See you, Cheesy.
See that pass?
Get it in.
Let's go with a crossover. Swing legs behind the back. I don't know what the call is in that, so y'all can help me.
I got into skills development full time when I saw some other skill trainers doing it overseas. I thought, man, they could do that. Maybe I could do that one day. That would be an awesome job beyond just playing. But I realized that I needed to get better at the business side of things, understanding how to market, how to manage, actually how to run a business. And of course, my passion was sharing Christ through the game of basketball. So I was really trying to mix and incorporate all these things together. And it's definitely been a journey over the last few years, but there's a lot of things that I learned. If you're looking to start as a skills trainer, or you want to start a business, or that's your passion in some kind of way to invest in people through the game of basketball, here's the 3 things that I learned when I was first starting out. Number 1 is just hustle. You've got to hustle and build a network. I reached out to everybody I could think of in the basketball community, whether it's coaches, anybody connected to basketball that could help me out, get me in front of people. And I think that's really the issue. Nobody's going to come to you. You're going to have to seek out clients, seek out players and teams, because we started from absolutely nothing. I mean, when I came back from overseas in the summer of 2015, we had no gyms. I had no paying players. We started from literally scratch to where we are today, with partnerships with Nike and Globetrotters, just now with Dr. Dish. Right here in this facility, I run Mid-America Sports Center, and along with 15 churches. But it all started with just one contact at a time, reaching out to people and just being willing to show up, work around the clock, because you're going to have to put a ton of time into it and work, and it takes patience, but you just got to stay the course. Number 2 is, do you have the juice? What I mean is, can you get people results? If you're talented, or you're a great trainer, if you're really good and you have the talent, people will come. If you are actually helping people get better, get results, improve quickly, and they're seeing results, guess what? Not only are they going to continue to come back to you to train, they're going to tell other people. And when I look at our clinics and camps, and we've grown from literally having 0 people show up to our first event to now we get 50 to 75 show up to some of our bigger events. And of course, we have new ones that show up over time through just marketing and reaching out and referrals. But a lot of it is just one person at a time, one player, one family at a time. If you get people results, they'll come back. Now, I'll say this on the flip side. If you're not doing a good job, if you don't give good customer service, if you don't treat everybody with respect and give them 100, man, guess what? Not only will they not come back, they'll go out of their way, they'll make it their mission in life to tell other people how terrible you are. And that's why I see a lot of people that are failing at it, is they get their emotions and they're mixed up into it. And you really got to humble yourself. And if you don't do a good job or there's a misunderstanding, you really got to go out of your way, humble yourself to help that person and let them know that you actually do care. And that's a big part of what I see some guys doing. They let their ego or their pride get in the way. And really, you're in the business of serving other people. Number 3, one of the most important things is gym space. A lot of people can't sustain having a full-time business as a trainer where you're making full-time money because you just don't have the gym space. I mean, even right now, it's the winter here in Louisville, and everybody's got an AAU team, everybody's got a school team, got a rec league going on. So the gym space is very limited. One thing I've been fortunate with the Hoops for Christ is we've got relationships not only with this beautiful facility, but with multiple churches in the city of Louisville where I got gym space. So if you don't have a gym, then you can't train players. That's the lifeline, that's the bloodline of being a full-time trainer, is do you have consistent gyms? Can you have access multiple days or every day a week to train people? So if you're just getting started, remember, the first key is you gotta find gyms to train people. And when I first started, I was going anywhere. I remember I trained in parks, I trained in people's driveways, I trained them anywhere I could until I could gain gyms. But that only works in the spring and summer. You know, if you're wanting to do this year round, you're gonna have to have gym access. So you really gotta figure that out when it comes to the winter and fall, when basketball is in season and everybody's playing.
I can remember in the very beginning, and when we used to get this little gym, we would have to clean bird poo off the floors and things like that. And that's the hardest thing for me, because the thing about it is with me and Philip, we carry ourselves with so much pride. So to be able to break down on our knees and be able to do that kind of stuff and drop the pride and put it to the side, with me, I had to get over my mindset of we're just 2 people in this organization. How can 2 people make an impact on such a large world? So I had to shift my mind and start thinking differently than that. The second thing that was probably hard for me was the financial aspect of things as well. My main concern was always my children, man, and how in the world can I feed them, all right, just off of a mission or a vision that Philip had. All these things I'm trying to figure out, and ultimately the common denominator was always a mindset that I had to get over.
I'm fortunate because I get to wake up every single day, do absolutely what I love to do by training players and teams. And above all, my mission in life is Hoops for Christ. I love being able to share Christ, invest in people with the gospel because of the game of basketball. It's afforded me that. But it's been a real struggle. It's a grind. And if I'm honest, there have been many times where I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do, even some dark times. And I'll share an experience. I met with a guy, and he said all these great things to me, how big the camps were going to be, basically microwave success. He said we could get hundreds of people at a camp. I believed in this guy. I went all in. And guess how many players showed up to this camp? And we rented out a facility for hundreds of dollars for this camp. And on that day, 0 players showed up. Let me say it again. We had a whole staff. We had spent hundreds of dollars to secure a facility, and absolutely 0 players showed up. In some of my free clinics in the very beginning with Hoops for Christ in churches, we only had 1 or 2 people show up. And man, that is really, really humbling. But I made a decision, whether 1 person shows up or 100 people show up, I'm gonna give them 100. I'm gonna treat each person the same way. I'm not gonna change my effort because I felt like this is what God called me to. There's a verse in the Bible that says, do not despise humble beginnings. And man, I got humbled. It's a humbling thing in the beginning when, man, it just doesn't work out. And you put all this work and effort into it, and you just gotta go back to the drawing board because you're not making the money. And it is a real struggle. And I think each person, if they're gonna be an entrepreneur, if they're gonna jump out in faith, they're gonna start a new journey where you're literally trying to do what you love to do and get paid to do it and sustain a lifestyle and a living to support yourself or your family, man, that's gutsy. Like, you gotta be really talented, really gifted at multiple things when it comes to the business side, the marketing side. Obviously, You got to have the juice, like I said, and have the talent to get other people better if you're going to offer a service and expect people to pay you. And like my man Gannon Baker says, a lot of people won't work hard for free. You're asking them to pay you to make them work hard.
Me in the very beginning, I was a very prideful person. It was hard for me to share the spotlight because, I was a very selfish person at first until I actually started gaining a relationship with the Lord. So the hardest thing for me is to actually drop my pride to the side and actually learn how to take a passenger seat to someone else. Also, another thing that was hard, trying to balance father life along with scheduling my sessions, things like that, and it still continues to be a struggle, but I get through it day in, day out, and I get better at it. And so the best advice I can give the next person and what worked for me and continues to work for me is parents will understand that you got to go that extra mile, man, when it comes to skills training. It's not about just basketball. It's about, talking to these kids and truly getting to know them and investing in them, truly in what they're interested in. You got to know all these things, what kind of music they listen to, what kind of grades they making. Can you travel to a game and actually see them play when they ask you to? Can you step up to the plate when it's asked? Because understand that once they enter your realm, which is basketball skills training, they're not just a client. They're your friends. They're your, they're the kids that you mentor. You're pretty much their third parent on the court. So you have to be there for them at all times, man. That's the one thing I can truly tell you guys has worked for me, and I promise it'll work for you if you try, is just to truly dive into what Hoops for Christ is all about in the first place, is investing, teaching, and inspiring them to do great things, man, and making them believe they can conquer the world.
This is something that God has gifted you with. It's truly a talent that you have. I would say stay the course. Understand, humble yourself. It's going to take time and work, but I encourage you guys to do that. And it may not be basketball, it may be you pursuing something else in your life. But if God's called you to do it, and He's given you the gifts to do it and the talent to do it, I would say stay the course. Make sure you're willing to hustle and grind. Make sure you're building a network. Make sure you treat everyone the same. Treat every situation the same. Every day you wake up ready to answer the bell, because that's what it's going to take to start. It's going to take that mental toughness and that fortitude to persevere to the end.
I appreciate you guys for watching this vlog right now. Continue to subscribe, man, because it's definitely worth a watch.